Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live guest interview within Mindful Journey. So excited that you're here with us today. And whether this is your first time joining us, we're thrilled to have you. And again, welcome. Or if you've been with us for a number of these conversations, welcome back. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat function and we'll work to get to them on the back end of the conversation and sometimes in real time. I'm super excited to bring you our guest today, Coach Chad Keller. Chad is someone that I've known for, gosh, probably since 2012, but it's been in a professional capacity. Often, many of you who are part of Mindful Journey may not know this because I don't bring it up often, but I've refereed college basketball since 2012, and Chad has been an assistant coach at a very successful Division II program, NCAA Division II program, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, based in Daytona Beach. And just a little overview before I get into what has translated into him joining us. He has, as I mentioned, been at Embry-Riddle, I think, for 20 seasons. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Chad.
Okay.
Um, but their program has had massive success, and beyond the success displayed on the floor, you can feel the authenticity and the culture that is formed from both their head coach, Steve Ritter, and the remainder of their coaching staff. Chad is a graduate of Flagler College, played there for 4 years with junior and senior year, serving as captain. And beyond the basketball piece of what it is he's done for so long, he's led their camp in the summer, which has historically been one of the great camps in the Southeast, where they devote so much time and effort. And I've had the good fortune of being there to help teach referees, and it's really cool to see the energy that is brought. So, with all that being said, that's a little bit of an overview about his professional career and what makes him up in that capacity. But as I mentioned, Chad and I have known each other in a professional setting, and I've certainly had a lot of respect for what he's done as a coach, as I know coaches put in so much time, and I've always felt that respect has been reciprocated. I hope he's felt from me that I've given him the same that he's given me. But inevitably, coaches, referees can butt heads. So it's not lost on me that there may have been times that he thought Adam's a jerk or Adam's this, but again, our relationship had always been professional and continues to be. But we had a conversation this summer in the parking lot of Embry-Riddle, and unbeknownst to me, I hadn't learned this until last year. He had been battling cancer since 2019. And the first time I'd seen him since learning that information, I, of course, expressed my sympathies, and we just had a raw and real conversation, and felt from Chad just this human side of life that coaches and referees don't always get a chance to see. So his words moved me tremendously. He continues to be in a cancer battle. He'll probably give us more context as to what that's looked like, but as a brief synopsis, he was initially diagnosed in 2019 with stage 4 colon cancer. Went through many rounds of chemotherapy, surgery, and I believe had thought it had been gone, but then it had returned with spots on the lungs, if I'm not mistaken, and the prognosis hadn't been promising. But in spite of that, he continues to remain optimistic, engaging in clinical trials, and I know his words today are going to help us all tremendously. So sorry for the long-winded intro, but I wanted to get it right, Chad, because man, you made an impact, and I'm looking forward to the impact you make today.
Well, thank you for that. First off, I'm honored to be here. I mean, this is a privilege and a blessing. So I hope that I can say something that might inspire someone that might be going through something that's a little challenging in their life. This is going to be fun. I mean, if we can get through this hour without me yelling at you, I mean, it'll be our first interaction. Typically, we're yelling from the sideline that you missed that call. That's the thing about referees. They, one mistake and they just get hammered by the coaches. Then they make 90 consecutive correct calls and nobody really says anything. But that one mistake is all you hear. So definitely have appreciated your, friendship through our work relationship, and hopefully we can continue to grow that off the court as well. And thank you so much for having me on today. I guess I can just start by telling a little bit of my story. Is that where we're going?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd love to yeah, thank you, Chad, for echoing what you just shared and saying, yeah, what I'd love to do is, these are always unscripted, but just would love to start maybe before we dive right into the personal side of what you've been dealing with. I'd love our audience to hear, what is your day to day look like as a coach, and what, because I think sometimes, especially folks not immersed in athletics, don't understand the grind that you all go through. So if you're okay with it, let's start there, and would love to just hear what your day to day looks like as a coach, and then what led you into coaching.
Yeah. Well, we'll go through the history lesson, I guess. So it all starts in eighth grade, which is where I think we got to start. I was an overweight trombone player in the St. Cloud Middle School band and had really no athletic experience and a little bit, I guess, little league and stuff. But I just fell in love with the game of basketball. It just grabbed me and took hold of me and became my passion. And man, am I blessed to have found my passion. A lot of people go through life and they don't find it until later in life. And some people, unfortunately, don't ever really connect and find it. But I found mine, and it's all I want to do every day. And kind of led me into playing high school basketball, which led me into college basketball. And then I majored in business administration, and I finished playing. All I thought about in college was, playing ball and trying to talk to some girls. That was about the extent of it. I wasn't thinking beyond age 22. And I graduated. I'm kind of sitting there, not sure what I want to do. I'm applying for some jobs. And long story short, high school coach at Leesburg High School, Pat Todd, who had a player who was my teammate from Leesburg. He had coached him, and he would come to watch him play. Well, I played probably 35 minutes a game, and I was the quarterback on the floor, always talking and kind of running the show. And he came to watch his player that he loved so much, but he just got to watch me. And so he called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, I don't know what you're doing, but you're a coach. That's what you're meant to do. And I'm telling you, I've been watching you, and that's what you should do. And I'd like for you to come be my assistant coach and JV head coach." So I went to Leesburg High School at age 22 and started teaching and coaching, and just finished my 20th year at Embry-Riddle, 7 years at Leesburg. For 27 years, I wake up in the morning and I can't wait to go to work. I get to go to work. I love what I do. I tell kids that all the time, our players and kids I speak to, and even my own children, just find that thing that you love, and pursue it. And if you get somebody to pay you for it and you get up every day, you're going to be happy in life. It makes you a better husband. It makes you a better dad. It makes you a better man when you have a smile on your face. There's so many people that we know, they wake up in the morning and they just dread getting out of bed. They dread going to work. They're not enjoying themselves. And I've been so blessed to be able to have that in my life. So, at Leesburg, I was a teacher and a coach. And then I took my team to the Embry-Riddle team camp every summer. And I was the high school coach bringing my team over. And that's where my relationship with Coach Steve Ritter, who's been the head coach at Embry-Riddle for 35 years. He's an absolute legend of all time, Hall of Famer, first-class man and hell of a coach. And so I just brought my team over, and I guess similar to Coach Todd watching me play, Coach Ritter watched me coach my guys, and his assistant coaching job came open, and he just hired me based on what he had seen me do with my guys. So a lot of life lessons hopefully come out of today. One of them is you never know who's watching, and always just do the best you can. Not for promotion. I didn't do any of those things to really advance myself. I was just doing what I thought was right. And thankfully, Coach noticed that I had a little passion about myself, and we kind of connect on a lot of ways. And you mentioned the word culture, and I've been just so blessed to spend now 20 years helping him and our staff build this unbelievable culture. It's as good as anybody in the country at any level, and we're very proud of that. We recruit great kids. We're blessed to have a high academic institution. We're one of the best schools in the country in aviation and engineering. So we're able to attract and recruit really high-level student athletes. And in the game of basketball, you got to share. You got to work together. You got to have some chemistry. So it's a lot easier when you have good kids. and we've
Yeah.
been very fortunate to build something special. And so, yeah, I'm very blessed, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And to answer your question now, kind of come back to that is, day to day. One of the things I love about my job is it's seasonal. I couldn't imagine going to an office and sitting there from 9 to 5 and doing essentially the same job every day. I would go crazy. Uh, each week, each month of the year is a little different. In season is incredible grind in terms of
Yeah.
practice time on the floor, preparation for opponents, and team building. I mean, it's
Yeah.
you don't see your family as much because you're just grinding really hard.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun. Absolutely love it. And then summertime is more, you got recruiting, which is year round, never ends. Certain times of the year are a little more time consuming. Then in the summer, we run camps, as you mentioned. We do 2 team camps and 2 individual camps for the kids, and that's been a lot of fun and a heck of a lot of work as we
Yeah,
put a lot of time
I
into
can
that. And
imagine. Yeah.
so, I don't really have a similar day, year round. It kind of fluctuates, which is another thing that I try to tell kids: have some flexibility in your life. If you can find a job where you have a little flexibility, and you know it's constantly evolving and changing. For me, that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Wow, Chad, so much to unpack there. Thanks for, the thorough overview of not only your day to day, but there's a few things, and I wrote down 2 of them. One is that you get to go to work,
Right.
and boy, I assume that you've probably used and frequently, I'm trusting within your culture of the have to versus get to, and there's a lot of folks in our world today who feel like they have to do something. When you're being, you know like pushed and not pulled, like that something bigger than you driving you, it can be harder to get up and get going. So, and I've always felt that from you in particular and your staff, and again, the culture, the energy, the passion. And I think it comes back from the get to. Would you mind touching on that with, with our listeners of how you on days, and we don't need to necessarily dive into the health stuff just yet, but like on days prior to that where you felt like you didn't want to get up, because I'm sure there were still moments of maybe adversity, or you guys were on a consecutive losing, a consecutive game losing streak. How have you kept that get to mentality front and center?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it just comes back to your passion. I mean, when you love something so much, anything in your life. For me, I've got several things that I love, and I'll know that fire will never stop burning inside. And yet, the losing streaks, the adversity that you face in your program, and I mean, we can name 100 different things. You're going to have bumps on the road. That's part of being a part of the team and being a part of that family, that you're doing it together, the ups and the downs. And for us, we just have a way of, and I think it starts. Coach Ritter is phenomenal about it. His perspective on life, his big picture understanding of things, and what a mentor he's been to me. And I feel like that's what we're trying to teach our guys. Life isn't easy. Life doesn't go perfect all the time, and there is going to be adversity. And when that adversity hits, what are you going to do about it? And that's the
Mm,
mentorship that I feel like we pour into our guys. Is all right. We had a bad practice. We had a bad game. Now you dig in. You come back tomorrow and you get it fixed. You get it right, and we move forward. And I think, to answer your question, where does that come from? It's just inside. You either have that or you don't. You either have that fire in your belly and that passion to fight through it, or you
mm-hmm,
don't. And as we
mm-hmm.
get into some more questions here, I can kind of parallel how that's helped me in what I'm going through as well.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. From a leadership perspective, because we, a lot of folks who deploy, and I probably didn't share enough context with you in Mindful Journey, but the guest interviews are really one part of the overall program. And so it sits within organizations. And so a lot of leaders have access to it, et cetera, in the corporate America space. And so but I think what you and any coach, but particularly, you and your coaching staff, because I have familiarity with being super intentional and driving that culture, there's a lot of parallels and a lot of transferability, if you will, that corporate leaders can embed into their cultures to drive this continued positive culture that is really focused around that work ethic and that fire in your belly. So what have you done that you can point to, you and the staff, like one or two things that have been useful from a leadership perspective to ensure you could get the program to this place? Like, is there a verbiage, a mission, a vision, what are some things that you've done to create this culture?
Yeah, Coach started the program, like I said, 35 years ago, and there was nothing there. There was really no athletic department. They had no scholarships. They were kind of a club basketball team essentially, and got the ball rolling, and it's just grown from there. But what he implemented right off the bat was, we're going to recruit what we call the package. And the package is three components: student, person, and player. And you've got to be good in all three to have a chance to come to Embry-Riddle. It's really easy. I can go right now and find a heck of a player out there. He's got all F's and two D's. He's not a very good student, but man, he can play. Well, he's not going to make it at our institution. Easy to go find a 4.0 student. I get 50 emails a day of guys that are just begging to come and play in our program, and they can't play a lick. They're not going to be able to help us. So, you got to be a student athlete in both. And then that character piece is is the separator. That's the first thing we look for in recruiting, is what kind of person are we talking about? And I think character is the essential fabric that goes through all of our guys. We have a lot of diversity on our team. We got all different walks of life, but they all have good hearts. They're all good people. They're teenage boys, so they're going to make mistakes, but they've been mentored effectively by their parents, or they've got at least that desire and that passion that they want to be a better man. They want to get better every day. Therefore, that's kind of what we've recruited. And then we are very mindful of our responsibility, and our job is to take them as an 18-year-old, and we've got 4 or 5 years to now send them into the real world equipped to be a great employee, a businessman, or whatever route they want to go, and a great dad and a great husband one day, and all those things. So that's, I think that's what separates us a little bit, is we're more relational than we are business. And college basketball now is just getting worse and worse with the transfer portal. There's a lot less loyalty from players, just wanting to jump ship and find what's the easiest route. Now you have the NIL money where players are being paid. So now college players are essentially professionals because they're being paid. And so, for us, instead of being transactional and business-like, we're still trying to be relational and build them into quality young men that are heading out. To answer your question, I'm sorry, I could go on and on about a lot of our core values, but two that jump to my mind are transparency is one. We're very transparent in our program. We don't sugarcoat things. We're very honest. We're very open. If we see something, we're going to talk about it. We're going to get it fixed. We're going to celebrate. If somebody's done something really well, we're going to be very excited to celebrate that. If they're not getting the job done, we're going to tell them. And I think even within our staff, we're very transparent and honest and open. There's no hidden agendas. There's nobody out for themselves. It's the team comes first, the program comes first mentality. And then accountability, I think, is a huge thing. Kids are going to do, all of us humans are going to do what you're allowed to do. If you do something and you get away with it, well, you're going to probably keep doing it, right? So for us, accountability from the very first day, we're excited. We start in about 2 weeks. The guys show back up on campus, and we get started. And from that very first day, just being on time, how you act, how you get prepared for practice, and how you do the little things. Those little things add up to the big things, and that's been a big part of our program, just holding our guys accountable on the little things so that we can enjoy the success later on down the road. And then one more I'll throw at you is,
please.
We treat everybody the same. If you're the all-conference, all-American guy averaging 15 points per game, we treat you the same as we treat our walk-on that never gets on the floor, or some of our best guys are student managers, assistant coaches, staff members, all conference. It doesn't matter what your role is. All the roles add up to the final product, and everyone is valued. And I think So
That's
that's a
good.
big thing, and there's a reason I'm here for 20 years.
Yeah.
One of them, there's several reasons, but one is, Coach Ritter as a head coach has implemented that mindset into our program where he values, like look at me as an assistant coach. He values me. He builds me up.
Yeah.
He makes me better every day. So then my job,
Mm,
I'm trying to make him better every day, but I'm also
yeah.
now passing it on to our guys, and it just becomes, it kind of bleeds through in a good way where your culture is everybody's in it for each other, everybody's in it for the team first mentality, and everybody
Hmm.
feels special. And I think you can translate that into any business. You're talking about leaders that might be listening. I mean, that's in your workspace. Is it just your right hand guy or your top two people? They feel like, yeah, we're connected with the boss man, and
Right.
the people at the bottom of the totem pole, they just feel like I have to go to work today. If you can
Yeah.
get everybody on your team to feel like I get to go to work, I'm a part of
Yeah.
something that's bigger than myself, and I can't wait to get to work today. And that starts
Yeah.
at the top, and it
Yeah.
just kind of bleeds down through. And I think
Yeah.
that's some of the things that have made us successful.
Super insightful, and love, and obviously not surprised that you were able to so quickly, just know what has been a contributing factor to the on and off the floor success. And it sounds like you all have been very intentional, the student, the student, person, athlete, was it? And I've heard that, Steve, what are the three? The
Uh,
student,
Student, person, player.
player, pardon me. Okay. Um, yeah, I think that intentionality is critical, and almost, I think sometimes leaders in organizations can have this mission, this vision, these values, and it's almost like lip service to some extent, where they talk about it once or once in a while. But I know in your world that you're continually referencing that. In fact, at camp this summer, Coach Ritter was talking, and I think he mentioned University of Kentucky baseball coach had embedded that into their culture because he had been a part of the Embry-Riddle culture. Is that did I get that right, or did I misunderstand? Okay, gotcha.
We've had several staff members in our athletic department who have now gone on, to bigger like Division I jobs, or you say bigger because they're a little more high profile, and they're implementing what they learned at Embry-Riddle. It's really been so cool to watch and them have success with it. And we're all one big family. As I
Yeah,
mentioned, that's our basketball program mindset. But now every one of our, I think, 450 athletes in our department, everybody had the student, person, player T-shirts, and everyone has it on their gear throughout the year. So it's constantly there, and you're constantly reminded of really what is your purpose is to play the game, but also get a degree and become a better person while you're, at Embry-Riddle, and then take it off into the real world.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And as you were talking to me, I started smiling inside because when you were saying about we treat everyone the same, I love that mentality, by the way. But I might use that to my advantage this season with you all. If you're, when I miss a call, I'm gonna be like, hey, Chad, hey, coach, you guys, you don't come down so hard on your players when they miss a shot. Maybe cut me a little slack.
That's fair, but then remember, I also said there's accountability.
That's
So,
right.
so if you do miss a call, you got to be able to deal with that, because we
That's
all make
right.
mistakes.
That's right. No, you all are always good. We as referees get it. I again, no fluff your way, but you all treat us well, and we appreciate that and recognize that there's emotion inevitably. It's never personal. So anyway, so Coach, I'd love to dive a little bit more deeply into the personal side and the human side of things. I think I'd mentioned to you the day we connected, one of the things that I'm really striving to do through Mindful Journey is to normalize and humanize this shared experience of life that we're all on. I've been so fortunate to have a wide array of guests, from folks in athletics, mental health experts, military folks, just a business, a wide array of individuals. And really, one of the main objectives is to hear from individuals how it is that they've navigated hardships in particular. the difference that, has been had as I see in our conversation today is that you're of course still battling through what it is that you've been going through these past few years. And the intention of the question asked, and I think I already know the answer, of course, that you'll likely speak to, but the question that I ask of every guest is, what's the most challenging thing you've gone through in your life, and what do you recall having done to get through it? Again, unique in this case because you're still going through it. But would you, to your level of comfort, of course, would you mind sharing just a little bit of your journey? Take us back to day one of the cancer diagnosis, and then in particular what you relied on to help you in difficult days, because I believe that your words should be heard by everyone, because it just has the capacity to save somebody's life.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so let's do it. 2019, it was May 13th, and I had a colonoscopy done. I was 43 years old, run 5 miles a day. I'm in phenomenal shape, feel great, no symptoms of any kind. And my dad had a little colon cancer in his 40s. It was small. They removed it, and he's just turned 70 this year. He's fine. So I just went in as a preventative measure. You're supposed to go at 50. They encourage you to go a little earlier if you have family history. So I went at 43, and it was a Monday. I wake up and I'm like, all right, I'm good to go. And the doctor says, no, sir, you have a massive tumor in your colon, and we need to rush you over and get a scan. So we do the scan, and he says, unfortunately, you have stage 4 cancer. You have 4 spots on your liver. It's already metastasized, and you have a 15% chance to live 5 years. And so, man, you go from, I thought I was just checking in, checking out, and heading back to work, and now your entire life is just completely flipped upside down. So I remember thinking, as soon as he said that, and I even said, first words out of my mouth were, okay, well, I'm the 15, so 15%. So what do we got to do? And so we started the process, and immediately had surgery, had a third of my colon removed, did 6 rounds of chemo. And I went to Miami and had half my liver cut out. Then I did more chemo, and then we got kind of a clean bill that we had cut it all out, and there was no sign of disease at that time. So I went about 9 months with, kind of nothing going on. And then my blood work started to kind of go back up, and it came back, and then it's been here since then. So, we just celebrated in May 5 years. So we hit 5 years, which, you weren't supposed to do. So I had all my family and friends together, and we celebrated that accomplishment. Definitely not getting cocky, always stay humble and hungry. But, if you don't celebrate the wins, you're not enjoying life very much. So got that done. And now my goal is I want to get to year 6, then I want to get to year 7, just trying to 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, and keep moving forward. I've had 7 surgeries, and I've had 73 rounds of chemotherapy up to this point. And it has been an incredible mental challenge, more than physical, in my opinion. There physically, yes, a lot of side effects that I've had to fight through, and surgery recoveries, and days where you just can't get up and you're hurting, and it knocks you down. But mentally, it's the mental challenge where I think people you either fight or you give in, and there's really, it's clear cut. You're gonna fight your butt off, or you're not. And for me, I would love to take a couple minutes and just kind of tell you kind of why I am who I am, and why I'm still sitting here today talking to you. And I attribute it to a few factors, but there's 3 reasons that I really think have gotten me here to today. And one is my faith in God. I'm closer to God than I've ever been. He's used this adversity to just pull me in. And ironically, before I had the cancer, I get up every morning, read my Bible, and talk to God. And I was just praying for some help in life. I was praying for a few things. And one of the things I was praying for was could you broaden my sphere of influence? I feel like I can impact some lives. I do get the opportunity to, and I'm very appreciative of that, but I think I can do more, maybe, open a door for me to do more work, and never would I have imagined that it would be stage 4 cancer that has opened the door. And now I am so blessed to be able to share my faith and my story and really impact a lot of lives. And it's been a blessing. So my faith and my love there for God and my relationship with him has been number one, because I see the world completely different. From that day until now, if everyone on the earth could live with the perspective that I've been living with during this, I didn't have it before. And I always make this joke. I drive home from work up 95. I get off 95. I head west on Granada to my neighborhood. And I've been living here for, 15 years. And all those years, the sun's setting as I'm coming home from work and the clouds are up there. And it's beautiful. I didn't notice that damn sun or sky one time.
Wow.
Now every day when I make that turn, I smile and I say, thank you, God. Thanks for another day. And I'm just appreciative of each and every moment. I have my family every opportunity I get. How many days did I just maybe was I short with my one of my children? They were wanting to spend a little time with dad, and I'm thinking about the next recruit we got to get, and I spend a little time and I'm moving on to my thing. I try to now stop and I try to take in every moment, because I don't know how many more moments I'm going to have. And if everyone lived like that and had the proper perspective, I think it'd be a much better place. So that's number one. Number two, I wouldn't be here without my family and my friends, right? So I always talk about faith, family, friends, 3 F words that really are what I instantly stopped caring about a lot of other things. And I just really focus on those things. Cool story. Monday, May 13th, I'm diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. 2 Mondays before, April 29th, I asked a girl out on a date. I'd gone through a divorce a little while before. I was kind of lost a little bit, hurting. And I asked this girl out on a date. Within 30 minutes, I'm just staring at her like, what the heck? People say you fall in love at first sight. I thought they were just out of their mind. Like it's an old wives' tale. That's ridiculous. That never happened.
Yeah.
And I'll be damned if it didn't happen just like that. And now I look back and there's no doubt that God sent me an angel to take care of me. So
Wow.
I am now married. We've been married for 2.5 years. We have 5 kids together, and we have a really cool family that God has blessed me with. And I have been happier the last 5 years with my life hanging in the balance. Like right now, I have 50 spots of cancer in my lungs. I have a spot in my liver right now that I'm battling. But I get up every day and I'm fired up because I get to have an amazing wife who's my best friend. I got 5 kids. They're all good kids that I love tremendously. I get to spend time with them. They're 21, 20, 17, 16, 13. So we have a blast every day. So, I could get up every day and, all pity me and walk around sulking and feeling sorry for myself. Or, man, look at all the blessings I have. And I don't know how much time I get to soak them in, but I'm damn sure going to soak them in every chance I get. And so I don't think I'd be here today if I maybe wouldn't have met her and maybe wouldn't have had that in my life. And then to piggyback on that, family and friends, the friends part, and I tell kids at camp, I speak to those teams at team camp a lot. The coaches ask me to say a few words, and I always say, when you guys get older and basketball's over and you're 40 something like I am, and you're going to have something hit you in life. And guess where, on my cell phone right now, guess where probably 80% of my friends are from? The game of basketball. Former teammates, guys I coached, coaching colleagues, referees, guys that you've built friendships with throughout my passion. And how many times I have guys, they don't even know it. I'm having a rough day. Just, hey, man, thinking about you. Love you, man. Keep grinding, and those are the things that they keep you going. And so I can't imagine I'm sure there are people out there that don't have that. And they're trying to tackle something like this or a different adversity. Mine happens to be cancer. It could be something totally different for people that are watching this right now. And, you know, not having that support group, I think is tough. And I've been very fortunate to have that. And then the third one and the last one is I was in 8th grade playing the trombone and I fell in love with basketball and I wanted to play so bad. And if you ask my high school teammates or friends, do you think Keller will ever make the basketball team at the high school? Are you crazy? That kid can't play a lick. I grinded. I got up every day and I worked and I worked and I worked. And I was the backup center on the 9th grade team. And I JV, I was the starting 4-man. And then junior year, I'm the starting point guard, team captain on the varsity. And then I finish and I go to Flagler College. I'm the 16th man on the out of 16. There's 16 on the roster. I'm 16th man. I'm the 5th string point guard and a walk-on. You said, do you think he'll ever play here? No way. There's no way he'll ever play. He just needs to be happy to be on the team. Started 2 games as a sophomore, team captain, starting point guard my junior year on scholarship, senior year captain, and now I get to live my life through this passion that I've had. The point of the story is I've been a grinder. I had to work 3 times as hard as the other guys who were way more athletically gifted than I was. And that just became kind of my makeup. And so when they said you're doing chemo, that's like running extra sprints to me. That's like staying after practice. I got to put in a little extra work than everybody else does. I got to, yeah, other people don't have to do this, but I do, because if I want to get more days with my wife, more days with my family, my kids, and see them graduate and go, then you got to put in the damn work. And I know there's no guarantee. I could be gone in a month, a year. It's not under my control, but I can only control 2 things every day when I get up. And that's how hard am I going to work and my attitude. And I just try to master those 2 things. And basketball is the reason why I'm here. Sorry, I keep going if it's okay.
Please.
Last part. I don't miss work. I've had to miss a day or 2 here and there because, you know, chemo knocks you down. But having Coach Ritter is amazing. Like, he just, Coach, whatever you need, and all the guys, whatever you need, we got your back, Coach. We got your back. So I'll lay on that couch over there, and it's 9 a.m. and I'm waking up and I'm hurting on the bad day. We got practice at 10. If I was an accountant, or if I was a businessman, nothing against accountants, but for me, I'd say, I'm not going to work today. I'm sleeping. But the fact that those guys and their love for me is waiting in the gym, get emotional. That's what gets me out of bed. That's what gets me there. And so I'm just a lucky man. I got a lot of factors that are helping me get more days, and hope all that makes sense, but that's kind of summing it up.
Chad, that makes incredible sense, and it's incredibly powerful. My only hope is that I wish all 8 billion people in our world today could hear those words that you just shared with us, because to hear you just conclude there, and there's so much that I want to pull, that I can pull. We're gonna have to do, interview 2, 3, and 4 down the road together,
Sure.
because what you just said, there's so much I took note of and then actually wrote down. But you just concluded with saying, "I'm the luckiest man." To hear somebody who's literally battling with 50 spots, I think you said, on your lungs and something on your liver currently, and you're the luckiest man. There are people out there who truly have what society may say is all, money, fame, et cetera, yet they are considering themselves as the non-luckiest man or woman, diving into addictive tendencies, be it alcohol or drugs. And no judgment here. We've had folks on who are, in recovery, et cetera. But my point is that what you just said to us, I hope broadens everyone's perspective to deepen their appreciation for this moment. Because if you can do it, we all can do it. So thank you for that, Chad. Man, that's awesome stuff. I'd love to ask you about one of the things you said that resonated most with me, and I'm a sucker for sunsets. So I know you guys might see me on the floor as like, man, Adam could be a hard ass a little bit. I'm a big softie, right? I don't think you guys think that. I'm actually I think pretty easygoing mostly, but we have a job to do. And if I, smile all the time, like, oh, you can curse at me, then you all are going to be mad at me because that means the other coach can do it. But all that being said, and please don't tell Coach Ritter because now he's gonna, he's really gonna pick at me. But I'm a sucker for sunsets, and what you said about the sunset driving home. Um, or maybe I don't know if it was the sunset, but the sun with the clouds. Would you mind sharing with us, like what was it from what you recall? And there might not have been anything, but what was it that gave you that perspective the first time you noticed it? And what types of things can we do to ensure that we don't miss the seemingly small things that are actually the big things?
Good one. I think you asked me earlier about, as a coach, what it's like. How do you still get to go to work when you're on a losing streak? And I mentioned that adversity is what hits you. And I really feel like for me, the initial cancer diagnosis, and all right, we're having major surgery in a week or whatever the time frame was, and just being knocked down. You're knocked down on your knees, and you're just praying, please God, get me through this. And you're at the lowest of lows. And I think that's why adversity is so powerful, because if you can get on the other side of it, which I was blessed to get through that surgery, and then I started walking. They said, yeah, you can go to the mailbox and back. Well, then, me, I pushed it to the stop sign. And then week 2, now you can go a half a mile. Well, I was doing 2 miles, and I just kept, and you get through it. And then you're driving home, or you're noticing a situation. You're like, it's like an exhale, like, wow, I get to see this right now. I get to spend this time with my wife or my child, where just a week or 2 prior, I didn't know if I was going to get through that. The fear is so terrifying. You're not even sure if you're going to get through that surgery or that next step. And so I think once you've kind of gotten through it, you start seeing the world differently. I guess that's for me. And
Yeah.
I know everybody out there is dealing with something, and I think it's all there's parallels there, that if you can just, sometimes it seems so insurmountable. Maybe it's an addiction or something. It just seems so. If you could just get that first step, and then get one more step, and just kind of get on the other side of it, you can kind of get moving downhill a little bit, and then you start really appreciating what you do have. Because we all have so many things in our life that we take them for granted. I tell people all the time, I just want to wake up and feel normal. Today, I feel normal. I'm not on any drugs today, any chemo, and I feel normal today. I never take that for granted. If I get up and feel normal, I'm like, it's like an amazing day. Where for how many years of my life was I waking up, not just feeling normal, I'm playing basketball, I'm running 5 miles, I'm able to do all this, but I didn't even notice that was a blessing until it's taken away from you, and until something's taken away from you, you don't really recognize how special it is. And I don't know if that makes sense or if that answers your question.
Sense. It does. No, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think one of the things I often say to myself, and you may find this funny when I'm on the floor, we're always self-talking as referees. But one of the things that I will say in my headspace is be here now. Be here now. And I find myself saying that throughout the days. Another way of saying it that I've begun in presentation sharing is be where your feet are. We're living in this increasingly fast-paced world. And from a referee perspective, if we're worried about the last call, or we're thinking about what coach on the other end may say, or what coach on this, it can distract. And we're human. We do miss calls because of those things. But I have found in my own life that things like journaling and meditation is so impactful for recentering me. And I'm going to do what you just said here, Chad. So know that you've made another impact on me of when I'm driving, what am I missing that is actually beauty because I'm taking it for granted. So thank you for that. I think it's of incredible value. You answered it beautifully. How well, let me first ask before I'm curious as to, things that the team, like lessons that you've been able to embed there. But before I get to that aspect, what's next in your journey? What does the forthcoming look like? And then the second part of that question, to kind of piggyback off of, is when you have tough days now, as I trust you still do, or are you, I'm guessing, reliant on those three F's that you, or the two F's that you've said, and then basketball. But would you mind sharing what's next in your journey? And when tough days come up, is there any immediate tactic that you rely on to get you in a better state of mind?
Yeah. So at this point, I've done essentially all of the standard of care chemotherapy lines that are set up for colon cancer. So, you use the chemo until it stops working. Eventually the cancer figures it out. You might have a year or two, maybe you have 6 months of success on that chemotherapy, and then it stops working. The cancer kind of navigates around it, and then you got to move to the next one, and then you move to the next one. So I've already kind of gone through them all. And so clinical trials are options that exist that haven't been approved yet. They're just in the trial phase. So I did one a year ago and it did not work. So it was about 3 months of, kicking your butt with the trial drug. And then you realize cancer's still growing. So we got off that, went back to a former chemo line, and it worked for the last probably 9 months to a year. It kind of kept it at bay and it's holding it there. Then it kind of stopped working. So now I will be going to UF starting August 19th. I've got an opportunity to start a trial drug there. So I've got about a 3-week break right now with just, they make you kind of wash out everything out of your system before you start the trial drug. So currently I feel really good. It's scary because it's in there and there's nothing being done, and it's, it freaks you out as it growing, but that's where that mental toughness comes in. Just put it over there and enjoy your day. And then when August hits, I'll start taking that trial drug. And it's definitely scary because you don't know, there's not enough evidence or a history of it to really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So August 19th, I'll start that, and we'll just pray that we can get some kind of success out of it. And, never know, you might get lucky and it works. And now, man, it buys you another year or however long. If it buys you anything, it's a success. Most of the time, the clinical trials, it's a slim chance that they're going to work in reality. So, you're going in there just kind of hoping and praying that you get a little help, and then just got to keep trying different drugs and different things at this point. The sad part for my journey is that it's in my lungs. The spot in the liver, I've already had my liver cut twice. It grows back. You can go in and cut certain cancers out. Can't cut the lungs out. If I had one spot, maybe they could cut out a part of it, but I've got so many, and they're all little popcorn size specks in there, just kernel specks, and so there's really no surgery that's an option. It's really just kind of relying on maybe some new medicine to come along that can help me out. So it's definitely very scary, but yeah, once August hits, I'll let you know. I mean, the guy that is helping me with the trial, I asked him some of the side effects. He says, well, it's kind of hard to ask the mice and the monkeys what they went through, because that's all the evidence we have. I think, well, okay, that really puts it in perspective. Like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I'm the guinea pig that's, taking this medicine, and they're seeing what it'll do. So
Yeah.
I'm optimistic. I think every drug that you see on TV commercials now, or everything that's approved, all the things that I've taken that are approved, at one time they were a clinical trial. They were, so maybe this is something that has a little juice to it. That could be something new in the future that I just happen to be on the front end of.
Man, I'm so hopeful for you, Chad, and I'll be praying for you, obviously, continued. And I'll be eager to see you this season. I know I'll be seeing you throughout. What's so amazing to me is I've been seeing you on the floor, and I guess I don't see a lot of your games, maybe just geographically and whatever, unless you guys block me. I don't know, but but I didn't know, and I definitely seen you in 2019. Maybe not the COVID year, but 21. And so the fact that you've been continually coaching even speaks more volumes um, about your resilience, about your courage. But I got my own self sidetracked there. What I was beginning to say is, I know I'll see you this season, and I'll be, checking in and asking. I'm curious to see how that goes, and I admire your desire to live. Because let's face it, there are times where folks. And I've got an uncle who had pancreatic cancer. He had the Whipple procedure done, and he has stopped engaging, right? And he's fortunately still with us, but he's kind of the mentality of, I don't want to know, I don't, and so he went through so much fighting that he's just wanting to live out whatever he's got left. And that's not, no shot, of my uncle, no shot at him, but I admire your desire to live, because I think you hear of cancer patients sometimes saying that, I don't have any fight left, and you're willing to try everything. And I'm hopeful and optimistic that one of those clinical trials will be the one that can be the catalyst. Question for you: will it cure you completely if it works, or is it just something that can hopefully, prolong life?
Yeah. When you have stage 4 cancer, you're really never, it's never going away, so you have to kind of wrap your head around that. Could there be a small 1% chance that someone with stage 4 cancer has it eradicated from their body and it doesn't come back? I guess so, but that's not very realistic. So could it, for us, there's, if it just held it at bay and it didn't grow, and we went 6 months and there was no growth, that's a win. That's kind of where we're at. If it shrunk it, oh man, we just won the conference championship. If it went away, we just won the national title, and it's not even like, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
we're just trying to win a game. I mean, because the odds are, I'm playing against the Orlando Magic, and I got an 8th grade AAU team. That's the odds of the game. So if we just win a quarter, it's a success. So anything would be, obviously celebrated.
Yeah.
But I guess the way I look at it is, if I can get a 6 months, a year out of this trial, and then go back to another chemo that we used maybe 3 years ago, get a little more life out of that, 6 months, try another trial, try another chemo. You could go 0 for 4 and sorry, my time's up. You can go 2 for 4 and kind of keep it at bay there. But man, if you get lucky and can go 3 out of 4 and have success, maybe it's 3 years from now, I'm still here. And if I had to stay like I am right now, I'll sign up for this forever. Like, it's the fear of it growing and not being able to stop it, obviously, is the scary part. But one day at a time.
What do you do on tough days?
Well, there are days that, when you were mentioning people that quit and give up, there's days where I could totally see where people would say, I don't want to do this anymore. And I've had those days, when I have a really rough stretch, and maybe it's day 5 of feeling horrible, I keep getting up, I keep going in there to work, but it's so hard and it's so frustrating, and you just feel worthless. You feel like, why am I even doing this? And I can see where, especially an older generation, that if you're in your 70s or your 80s and you've seen your kids grow, you've seen your grandchildren, why keep going? I would never judge anyone for that, because it is incredibly difficult. For me, I just keep thinking about the things we've talked about, and it's something, and it could just be something little that just kind of triggers you. Get your butt up, get up, keep moving. And it might just be, get up and go for a walk and come back, get up and do something. Don't just lay here and feel miserable. It is hard. I mean, before I had cancer, I didn't really have any knowledge. I had not been through a lot of this in my life with family or friends. no hands-on experience of kind of watching somebody go through it. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's really hard because I've got 5 kids. I love them to death. I've got my players, and I don't want to put it on them, if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
want to be any kind of burden, or I want them to live their lives without having to worry about dad, you know? But then there's days where I'm like, do you guys have any idea what I'm fighting for, fighting through? And there's a constant mental battle in my head. And I feel that way, like with you, when you say, I didn't even notice that I wouldn't even known you have cancer. I've seen you at games. There's people I work with, I probably don't even know, because I take pride in that. I'm going to keep going. It's
Yeah.
not going to stop me. It's not going to affect me. And there's days where I take pride in that. And then there's days where I'm like, you guys have no idea what I'm
Mm.
going through. And I almost want them to know,
Mm.
because I want them to realize how lucky they are, how blessed they are,
Mm.
that they don't have to do this.
Yes.
And that's kind of just maybe that's a selfish mental thing that I deal with, but
No, I can't. Again, I'm never going to try to pretend to know what it's like. I've always, for years when people have lost a loved one or whatever, I think sometimes, because I've gone through my own adversities in life, and people try to say things in a moment to make you feel comfortable, but sometimes it can be misconstrued, right? That they know what it's like. So I empathize with you, Chad. I really can't fathom it. I don't know how I would respond to it, admittedly, and that's why I'm so moved by your words and inspired by your story. And I don't think it's selfish to have that going on in your headspace at all, where you'd say, I want people to understand. And that leads me to another question of that I was thinking of, like how important it is to tell your story, but how much courage that must also take. And then this balancing act of what you just said of not wanting to burden your team. So this is a long-winded way of me trying to connect the dots and ask you a question ultimately of um, how have the players responded, and um, how important do you see it being for continually sharing this story and sharing your journey without making it about me?
great question. They've been amazing. First off, the the love that I get from that group it's unbelievable. I believe that God has me going through this for many reasons. One is I'm impacting their life daily. They, I have coached in games a lot in practice with, I have a port in my chest, chemo line coming out into a fanny pack with a pump, and it's pumping chemo into me while we're in the game,
Mm.
while we're at practice. And so you would have to have some real courage to complain about running a sprint or doing, dang, I got a paper due tomorrow that I got to get done. When coach is standing here with chemo going through, and he's still here and he's still going, he's still loving on you. And I think just them watching me fight, it opens their eyes to, man, I got a lot left in me. I can dig a little deeper. If he can do that, I can dig. And I think it's, without me having to say a lot, just the way I kind of go about my business, I think impacts them. And then, every so often I'll in the locker room, or I'll kind of share what's going on, and it gets very emotional, a lot of tears, and it's just a group of guys that love each other and care so much. And and that's the kind of stuff that you can't get. That's why team sports are amazing, because whether it's my story or one of our players is going through something with his family, and we're all there to support them, and it's those bonds, and that tackling something together is what really kind of can help shape you as a man, I think. And
Mm.
so,
Hmm.
yeah, they've been very, very loving and supporting for me. It's been amazing.
That's good stuff. What is your message today? And I'd like to close with this to be sensitive to your time. And again, hopefully we'll, if you're open to, we can do another one of these down the road, because I think you've got so much more to share and so much more to give, not just with our listeners, but with this world, as I mentioned. But I would like to close on an optimistic note for others. And this conversation's been optimistic in nature from my vantage point. But folks who aren't navigating cancer, folks who might be on here today who are going through a divorce, going through financial difficulty, dealing with imposter syndrome. Maybe somebody's watching this later on, as we distribute this, and it's an aspiring coach who wants to get to the collegiate ranks, and they're not gaining traction. Anything that people may be going through, because like you mentioned, we all deal with adversity. What's your message to that person today who might feel like they're at their wits' end and they want to quit?
It's a good one. I've been through not just the cancer, I've been through a few things that are some that you mentioned, and they all kind of have that same parallel to me, is how much are you willing to give? How much are you willing to fight? How much are you willing to dig in? And I don't know exactly why, but I've always kind of had that grit to just kind of just fight for it. Even, a lot of people are going to quit and give up. I'm just going to go one more day. Maybe just let's get one more day, and you just keep pushing, you keep grinding. And the other thing I look at it is, I think people view the problems that they're going through as a negative, as it mentally affects them in such a negative way. If you can just flip it in your mind a little bit. And an example, the American Cancer Society, Coaches versus Cancer basketball, program, they asked me to speak at the national fundraiser. So I went to speak, and I was like, it was a fundraiser. So I was kind of supposed to be the sob story, the sad story of this. Here's this coach going through this, now give us some money so we can, help the cause, right? And so I thought about it, and it was a big moment. I was very honored to be asked to do it, but I flipped it, and this is what I'm getting at. I flipped it, and my message was the 4 gifts cancer has given me. The gift of perspective and so on. And I went through it, and I think everybody's just looking at me like, this guy's crazy. Like he's literally dying of cancer, and he's talking about the gifts that cancer has given him. So I bring that up to kind of come back to what I was saying. For someone going through that struggle, flip your mind. It's a struggle. Instead of looking at it as insurmountable, look at it as, this is a test. This is a challenge that's only going to make me stronger. It's only going to make me better. And all I got to do is get to the other side of it. I just got to grind and get to the other side of it. And then I'm going to be a better person because of it, and for me,
Yes,
that's just kind of how I've tried to view it. And it's not easy. I hope people listening are like, this guy, who is this guy? It's not easy. I have 100 bad days for every 10 good days, we all have those bad times and days. And
yes.
I'm definitely in need of inspiration and help, as much as anybody else is. But I think that's kind of where my mind would be.
That it's powerful, and it does it makes you think. Like, I could see how you're saying some of the coaches at the clinic might have been looking like, what is this guy like? Because the gifts, but to hear it from somebody, what makes it even more powerful is I can feel the authenticity from you, and just appreciate you being so human, coach, and saying, look, I don't have it all figured out. I'm just telling you that I've got these bad days, but I know on bad days that I try to reframe my own mind and flip it. And that's tangible evidence to us listening in, saying, you're still here, right? You're still here and fighting. And not only just fighting, looking like you're flourishing to some extent. When I saw you this summer, you look great, physically. You sometimes our society sees, folks who are dealing with cancer, and they don't look good physically. So obviously what you've done from a mental perspective has helped, because not only is it continued in your fight, but you're still operating with that grit and that passion and that energy. And people who aren't dealing with things from a medical perspective don't have that passion sometimes. So your words are super impactful and resonate certainly with me. You have been wonderful today, truly, Coach. I'm so grateful to you, so thankful for you joining us for this conversation. We'll close here. For those of you listening in to this conversation, still thanks for joining us. For those who end up seeing this on demand, I hope your mind is as moved as my own mind and heart has been today. The Coach Chad Keller from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I encourage you to find him online, send him a note. And unless you're a recruit who doesn't have any game right now, I don't know. He'll still want to hear from you. But all of that being said, thank you everyone for being here. Again, Coach, thank you. Wishing you so much success. I look forward to seeing you this season. And I feel like our relationship is only deepened. So maybe our referee coach relationship will even be different now. You and I will smile at each other. Coach Ritter will be like, "What the hell? These guys are laughing about Adam Smith's call."
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It really means a lot. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. I'll follow up with you offline and send you a copy of this recording too.
Sounds good.
All right. See you, Coach. Take care.
Thank you.